Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. Glenn Martin riding solo right now. Jimbo is on his way. He is in transit and will be with us shortly. But I didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. I wanted to get in here and start talking some Ravens talk, which is what we do here at 410 Sports Talk. So the first thing I got to start out with is the newest member of the Baltimore Ravens, defensive end Chris Smith, who's coming over. Last we saw him, he was in a Raiders, jersey. He was drafted, in the 5th round by the Jacksonville Jaguars back in 2014. 6'1", 266 is his measurable, so not the typical size that I would have assumed would intrigue the Ravens and make them want to bring him in. It kind of a stout guy, 6'1", relatively short for the position. That at least it looks as if he's going to be playing. I'm not sure if there will be a move to outside linebacker, but if we're talking defensive end, Wolf is currently the D end here, and he's 6'5", 285. Maybe I'm going a little big on the weight, but it's got to be somewhere around there. But for his career, let's see, he's got 9.5 sacks in his career, 50 solo tackles in a 68 game career. So this isn't a guy who's, been an every down starter at any point. As a matter of fact, he's only started, 2 games in his 68 game career. So this isn't a guy who's going to go in there and unseat anyone for their starting position. This looks to be a depth guy. I mean, his best year came in 2017 and his only year with the Cincinnati Bengals, where he played in all 16, started none, recorded 3 sacks, 26 solo tackles with 9 QB hits on the year. So this isn't a move that's going to get Ravens fans too juiced up about, adding some help. I mean, I think we were certainly hoping and I think expecting them to do something to address the edge position. I mean, I was kind of expecting them to bring in my guy Justin Houston. Now I'm starting to think a little bit less and less likely that it's going to happen. And that's kind of disappointing because this group is certainly a lot of it is going on, hopes. I mean, we're hoping that Adafe can get up to speed early, and we're hoping that Bowser can maybe, start impacting the sack category a little more than we've seen, maybe flip it around, have more sacks than picks this year. I don't know. That'd be nice, but can Dalen Hayes, be the jack of all trades that he is at this level and contribute? There's a lot of who's going to get to the quarterback, unless it's, 3 from this guy, 3 from that guy, 3 from this guy, unless it's just all by committee. I was certainly hoping, but the name that I saw, linked most recently is, of course, Chandler Jones, the star D end from the Atlanta Falcons, which it's kind of funny that he's looks to be trying to get out of Arizona. Arizona, because J.J. Watt's whole offseason, deciding on where to go. I think a big factor in that was playing opposite another dominant pass rusher, a guy who commands the attention of the offensive coordinator and can kind of give him a little bit of a breather from being the guy who commands double teams as often as he does. And now it looks like Chandler Jones might be forcing his way out of Arizona, and then he's left again without that dominant guy opposite him. But as far as where Chandler Jones, if he could come to Baltimore, if he, look, it would be awesome if the Ravens could get a guy like Chandler Jones. This guy is phenomenal. I mean, it's crazy to think that he's one of the most underrated players when you consider all that he's done. And of course, he's got career accomplishments, but I mean, this guy is an absolute stud pass rusher. I mean, he's 6'5", 265, which is the prototypical height and weight of an outside linebacker here in Baltimore. And this guy's had some insane seasons. I mean, just 2 seasons ago in 2019, he had 19 sacks to go along with 53 combined tackles, 26 quarterback hits. I mean, this guy was a terror. He had 8 forced fumbles on the season as well. So, I mean, a guy who can really wreak havoc in the back end of that defense. The only problem, because, I mean, yeah, on the field, yeah, love the guy. Would love to see him in purple. I mean, man, you talk about erasing a lot of your worries. He would certainly be a guy that would do that from the pass rush standpoint. My only thing is, can they fit his massive cap his salary is insane. I mean, here's the thing. This guy is getting paid very handsomely, and is the reason he wants out of Arizona is because he's not getting the contract that he wants. So, to think that the Ravens are going to be able to make him happy in that sense it's kind of unlikely. I mean, when you consider all the contracts upcoming, this guy's 31 years old, so he's not, he's not south of 30. I mean, I still think he has plenty of football left in him, but his cap number this season is $20.1 million. So even if, first of all, they can't fit that under their cap as it stands. Now, I'm not sure if you can do some juggling by signing him to an extension, which lowers his cap hit this season and spreads it out over the upcoming seasons when the cap is expected to boom. But even then, he wants to be paid like the premier pass rusher that he clearly is. I mean, if he went into the office of Eric DaCosta and said, look, this is my record, I mean, it'd be hard to argue that he's not one of the very best pass rushers in all of football. So he wants to be paid like that. Hey, Raven Ron, what's going on, bud? Dave Nance, James is coming. He's on his way. He is in transit, but I didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. So I decided to go on here and see how this goes. What's going on, Nana? What's going on, Adam 78? Yeah, Adam 78. I agree. I think the guarantees, the cap money, I just don't see how it's possible. And if he's already unhappy with his contract, I can't see the Ravens being able to do anything to make him happier. And of course, any team that's trading for a guy like Chandler Jones and giving up the compensation it's going to take to get him, they're going to want to have some sort of an agreement with the agent that, guarantees some sort of long-term deal. There he is, my guy.
Bam!
Jimbo in the building.
That's right. You are currently talking to Slippin' Jimmy right now. You ain't even talking to Jimbo.
Oh, charming him up out there.
That's right. If any of you guys seen Better Call Saul, you'll know the reference to Slippin' Jimmy. I had to be in character tonight at a networking event, and so yes, your boy was out there charming him up.
There he is, as only Jimbo can do. What's going on, Billy? What's going on, Tanja? Appreciate you guys coming out. Don C.
And look, wait a second, Glenn. Let me just say this. I appreciate you for holding it down.
Yeah, man, I got you.
And let me tell you something else. I wasn't just working for my own benefit. We're going to be doing a live show. There's a guy that I met down there that is an owner of a community coffee shop that started with some students at UMBC. Really cool program. It's called Okamoka. They have an awesome spot, and they're just coming out of COVID, doing really well. But anyway, they have a stage up there. He wants us to come up, do a live show from there. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Okay, I'm excited about that. This is breaking news.
That's right.
But I'm hyped. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, Tanja. Appreciate it, Katie. Of course, I know Katie's a little biased, but I appreciate you. I love you. But yeah. So we were talking Chandler Jones and the possibility. I mean, I know there was a lot of people linking the Ravens to Chandler Jones and possibly bringing him in. What are your thoughts on that possibility?
A big fat donut.
No chance?
No chance. I don't think there's a chance. Few reasons. One, the salary cap hit this year. We got to make it work, right?
Yeah.
And it's what, a $15 million hit?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. And then number two,
$20 million cap hit right now.
Ugh. So number two, he's on the wrong side of 30 and he wants extra security. Not something the Ravens are typically in the business of doing. It doesn't seem like a Ravens move to me. I think it would smell of serious desperation if a deal got done and serious lack of faith when it comes to Udafe Owe. I don't think it gets done. This isn't a Ravens deal to me at all. This doesn't smell of Ravens whatsoever.
Yeah, it would. I mean, that would mean that they think they're that guy away from winning the whole darn thing. And some could agree that the pass rush is really the most glaring weakness on the Ravens roster and could be the thing that holds them back to where they want to go. I mean, that's hard to look at any other position.
What do you feel about that? Do you think that
it's unlikely they can make him happy from a contractual
No, but let me ask you this. Forget about that portion, but you bring up a good point. Do you believe, like Glenn, do you personally believe, contract aside, that one, we are a solid pass rusher away, and two, do you think that he's the guy?
Well, I think he certainly would be Yeah, he would be the guy. I mean, this guy is one of the very best pass rushers in all of football. I think there's no doubt about it. He would fit the system perfectly, and he would fit pretty much every system perfectly. As good as this guy's been, this is a premier player at that edge position, and so yeah. I mean, I guess we can go into the fact that do you think, because right now camp is starting. I mean, the vets are there today. They're doing their physicals. They're doing their conditioning tests. They're getting ready and getting ramped up to get on the field tomorrow. So Jimbo, with this group, it doesn't look, at least as of right. I mean, Houston hasn't signed, so there's still a very good chance he could still come here. But I think as the days go on, my optimism for a bringing him in is going down every day. Is this group at outside line, is it good enough to go all the way and beat a team like a Pat Mahomes or the Titans? I mean, there's going to be a bunch of teams in the way. Can they do it with this group?
Yeah, I don't gosh, I hate answering this way because I'm such a biased Ravens fan and I'm such a believer in the front office that I want to say if they believe it, then I believe it, but I don't believe it. I could see a deal, similar to the Marcus Peters situation where we saw something like that. Something like that could end up happening to where it's an in-season acquisition. But I agree with you. I don't even know if you agree with that statement in that, do we need a guy? Like, can we get it done with the guys in the room? My answer is no. It does concern, man. My answer is not a solid no. I need some wiggle room there, Glenn.
You're not sold on it yet.
Yeah, there you go. I'm definitely not sold on it.
Oweh could turn out to be an absolute monster, and it would totally change our opinion. We don't know yet. But he could, or like Adam 70, or I'm sorry, not it was Wheezy Wheeze says we had a top 5 defense with one guy with 8 sacks last year, and that's a good point.
Yeah.
But still, that guy's now gone, and the guy who is second best with Ngakoue is also gone. So if your best 2 guys are gone, and you already, admittedly didn't have a really great, outstanding performer as it is. I mean, I don't know. I guess you can look at it any different way. I think the guys could be good enough, but right now I'm not completely sold that they're good enough to this point. I'm still hoping, and I'm still optimistic the Ravens will sign someone, but will it be another Chris Smith, who doesn't really move the needle for me, is more of a depth guy, a guy who's played special teams and defense his entire career? This isn't a guy who's going to really excite me, from a pass rush standpoint, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But Jimbo, I had to save this for you, and Adam 78 brings it up. Gus the Bus Edwards, coming off a monster contract extension, comes back to camp, tests positive for COVID. Is going to miss the first 10 days. What are your thoughts when you saw this news break?
Yeah, so part of me, I don't want there to be any controversy or put my personal opinion into whether or not you should get the vaccine. That's part of me. The other part of me says you have no excuse. Get the dang thing. That I'm just being real, real with you guys. Like, I feel like he could easily do it, right? And this is the reason that for me it's frustrating is I think it was avoidable. I don't know what his opinion is on it, what counsel he's getting from his team, but it's frustrating to me because it's not a good look. While I also understand that like the first 10 days of camp aren't that big of a deal for a guy who knows the system like the back of his hand and is going to flourish in the system, even if he was bagging groceries, that's the type of guy Gus is. He's just pretty much built that way, right? He could turn around, put the pads on, and this system is built for a guy like him, right? And so, yeah, it just kind of stinks because I've been in the camp that Gus can do no wrong, and I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but I don't know. It just kind of stinks because some of it is avoidable. Like I said, it's just different than a regular injury. I don't want to put my personal opinion on it too much, but yeah, it was just kind of disappointing and some sucky timing, right? Like John had to look at that and be like, dag nabbit. You know what I mean? Because any negative news is no good, especially at the beginning of the season. You want it to be positive news,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that it's not a big deal in a sense that Gus will be fine.
Right.
But also I think the team will be fine with the group they got there. I think it just means Tyson Williams and Nate McCrary get a lot more run than they would have. And certainly JK and now Justice Hill could really capitalize on these early because he's going to get some reps with first team. I mean, JK can't have all of them. So I think Justice Hill is probably going to benefit a little bit early on from this, but I don't think it hinders Gus. But here's what I'm worried about: is this a sign of things to come? Is this the first of another season of which where we hear, maybe not to the degree of last, because like someone else pointed out, the Ravens I think are saying right now they're around 90% or maybe north of 90% vaccination rate. So we wouldn't likely see a breakout to the extent like we saw last year. But a guy like Gus heading into a big game, if you were to lose him, going into that week 2 matchup against the Chiefs, then that's a problem, because, then you're going to have to rely on a guy like Justice Hill. And you know how we feel about him. And the fact that we're not thrilled about having to lean on him for any bulk of carries. So that's my worry. Is this just a sign? Is this the first time we're hearing about this, and it's going to be a reoccurring theme throughout the season where one guy, this guy,
right?
That's what I don't want to see.
I'll tell you this, at least for the Ravens, and I agree with Nana Rave where I haven't seen the numbers, link for the numbers, but I believe that the Ravens are their percentage is really high based on the guys that have come out, the leaders in the locker room that have come out and tried to educate their teammates about it. Calais Campbell, I think he even talked about it. He referenced that today. So it's just about educating. So I think if you're doing that, then the chances of your percentage being high are good. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about that, Glenn. I think that they'll be all right that way. I guess, I mean, if he didn't, it's better to, it's not good ever to get it, but it's better to get it now than in season.
That's true.
But nah, I wouldn't be worried about that concern, is I guess what I would say.
Any more likely that they signed Todd Gurley because of this specifically?
Nah.
No. Okay.
Nah, because Gus, excuse me. Todd's not going to want to come in to cover some air, to cover some airtime.
Like Blake Bortles did with Aaron Rodgers, because he got cut today when Aaron Rodgers showed up.
Right. Exactly.
This isn't a Blake Bortles situation here.
No, but I don't know how I feel about A-Rod's hair, man. I don't know if I like the shirt. I love the shirt.
Okay, of course you did.
I don't know if the hair's for him.
Well, I wasn't in love with the Woody mustache or whatever that was. He had the most ridiculous old Western mustache for the longest. I wasn't a fan of that. But when you got, he's got swag. I can't deny it. But look, I really wanted to ask you, the Lamar Jackson, I know this is totally changed, but no contract, right? I was kind of expecting there to be a contract announcement sometime before training camp. And certainly when I saw him arrive a few days earlier than, all the other vets were expected to, I thought, oh, this is it. He's there. He's going to sign the contract. This is why he's a few days early. But no contract has been signed. Is this something we're going to see? We're going to have to wait and it's going to be pushed off till next season? Or do you think it could still get worked out mid-camp or mid-season?
Yeah, I think it's done for this year. I don't, unless we hear that he hires an agent, and trust me, we will hear when he hires an agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, I think it's pushed off till next year. And in fact, old Jerry Sandusky, voice of the Ravens, was on NFL Now not too long ago and said that it makes sense for Lamar and the Ravens to wait on it, based on the fact that the salary cap is going to bounce upward and recover, not only recover, but also, go up. So it will be significant, the increase in salary cap next year. And so the hit wouldn't be as much. But at the same time, next year will be the last year of his deal. I don't know how much the salary cap will be affected, even if they do give him an extension, because it's not like the deal would hit till the following year.
Right.
But either way, I think the longer, I guess what I'm trying to say in all of that, the longer that he sits out there without a deal, the bigger his deal gets. I firmly believe that. Yeah.
Okay. It's hard. It's hard to disagree unless there was, I think even if there was an injury, I think he'd still get a deal. I'm not sure if it would impact it at all. I don't think it would impact it much. Maybe a little, I guess. But okay. All right. And I also, this was kind of a interesting story. I heard and correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard him say that he's going to, if he wins the Super Bowl, he's going to change his number from 8 to 1.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, great minds think alike. And that was my number growing up. So I totally get it. I mean, I totally get it. Totally different reasons. I wore number 1 because jersey sizes were based on numbers. And of course, I was usually the smallest on team. So I wore number 1. But I turned that into the fact that, I just wanted to be the best. But I like the idea. As far as like the reasoning, he talked about it, his dad's passed away and his dad talking about it wearing number 1 and stuff like that. I think that's cool. But yeah, I mean, our buddy Garrett Downing got that out of him. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it'd be cool. It's also a good business move. If you think about that, because now Lamar can, all his other stuff, when he puts out his old merchandise, that's number 8 and this, that, and the other, it's going to be vintage. It's going to be throwback. And so it's also not a very bad business move.
He's looking to pull a Kobe here.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Especially if it splits his career. And I mean, it's so interesting how Kobe was able to basically cut his career in half and have two almost both Hall of Fame careers in 2 different jerseys. It's really when you look at how much he did in one and then how much he did in the other number, it's almost identical. It's really cool. But yeah, maybe Lamar can do the same and get another title under number 1 after he wins his under number 8. That would be awesome.
So I do have something really random, not 100% Ravens, actually very hardly at all Ravens related, but you see Xavier Howard has demanded a trade from the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Didn't he just get a contract? Am I missing something? Didn't he just get a deal last year?
I'm not entirely sure. Let's see here. I can look him up.
But what's your take on that? So my real question is, all these NFL players, they're really trying to demand these trades like NBA players now. I think it's a trend more than anything.
Yeah, you're right, Jimbo. He has got a lot. I mean, he's got this year. He's got 2022, 23, and 24 still under contract with some pretty monster cap hits. Now, the team can get out from under. Really, this is the last year where the team is really.
So that's what it was. He wants further guarantees down the road.
They can save 11.5 against the cap next year by releasing them 12 the following, 12.2 the following after that. So, I mean, what do I think as far as the Ravens adding this guy?
No. I just meant, I guess the only way I could relate it back to the Ravens is I guess it's beneficial. We haven't seen any guys request trades. Like, there's other guys that are
recently, but
yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, Orlando Brown just whined his way out not too long.
Yeah. She's a whiz. I totally forgot about that for a second.
Hayden Hurst not too far before him, but
it's a whiz, my case. But there's other guys that are in contract negotiations that we haven't, I'm sure that Mark Andrews is in active negotiations with the Ravens, right? His agent has to be sitting down with the rest of the team, with the Ravens front office, right?
For who?
Mark Andrews.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Bradley Bozeman.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's definitely
Marquise Brown.
Right. Yeah, they're getting out in front of it for sure. So
yeah. I mean, you got to have some exploratory talks, but yeah, I mean, it's just as far as bringing him in. I saw some people financially, it wouldn't make a ton of sense to spend that much money. Imagine those 5 if you had Jimmy. All that cap space tied into 5 cornerbacks would not.
I don't think it's possible, and it wouldn't make sense. And it's just overkill.
But he's a talented player, heck of a player.
Certainly, Marlon's better, but he's talented.
Yeah, I agree. I like Marlon better. I mean, of course, I like our guys, as Buck Showalter used to say. No doubt about it. But so Jimbo, I didn't get your take on Chris Smith. They also worked out Deion Jordan and Shalik Calhoun, ultimately signing Chris Smith. Is this just a depth guy? I mean, what did you?
Yeah, didn't move the needle for me.
Okay.
I don't think he's tuned up for a breakout. I don't think, typical Ravens signing. The Ravens have signed a new edge rusher, right, and no one knows who he is.
Yep.
I think he's had 9 sacks in 7 years, or something ridiculous like that. He's still in single digits in sacks. So in his career. So yeah, typical Ravens signing. There's really not too much I can say about that. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me.
Right, yeah. Got you. Okay. All right. I was actually kind of surprised at his lack of size at just 6'1", 266. That's a relatively small guy for either D end or outside linebacker here in Baltimore. Typically much bigger, has the weight, but 6'1", awfully short for the average signing here in Baltimore.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have a question for you, Glenn.
Yeah.
You might have already answered this. And yes, funny looking yo, this is live, my man. This is live. This is James and Glenn in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this. That's right. What are you most excited about with camp? Like, simple question, but what has you most excited?
Well, I want to see this passing attack. I mean, it's got me look, we know the run attack is going to be there. I mean, look, I'm excited about this offensive line, but even if there were to be some bumps along the road from an offensive line standpoint, I still think they'd be able to piece together a successful ground game because of the guys they have there and the system already in place. But man, I want to see them couple that with an effective passing game, similar or even better than what we saw in 2019. That would be so exciting. I cannot wait to see what this offense has. I mean, I think we're going to see wrinkles that we haven't seen in a Greg Roman offense ever at any stop along his career because, quite frankly, he hasn't lasted this long at very many stops, despite the fact that he's had that initial success everywhere he's gone. So I'm just excited to see what do these young coaches bring to this offense? How do they expand the passing game? How does this get these young guys, this young talented receiver core more involved in the offense? And yeah, let's see what the already highest scoring offense in the last 2 years. How much better can it get if they can develop a passing game to get it, say, top 15? I mean, efficiency maybe even higher. Get back to where we were in 2019. But yeah, certainly. That passing game and that added wrinkle to the offense has got me really juiced up. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I'm most excited about. But more specifically, I've been my feelings towards Hollywood Brown have been doing this, throughout his career. I was really high on him coming in, got kind of down on him. It's gone back. I was really excited about his year last year. And not that he disappointed, but I was expecting a little more.
Yeah.
And so I think, honestly, other than like the easy one is Rashad Bateman. Like, I'm really excited to see that. But I'm excited to see how Marquise has prepared himself to round out as a receiver, not just be a take the top off Deshaun Jackson type guy, which, look, he can make a career out of that, but I'm sure he wants to be more than that. I want to see how he has rounded himself out from a physical standpoint, from a route running standpoint, from an after the catch standpoint, and then also how much the Ravens try and implement that. So I'm most excited to see who Hollywood Brown is, because there's a chance that we could see a whole different guy. I mean, think about, he's going into a second year, but this is kind of his third year in that this is only his second preseason.
I see. He's going into his third year. I got you. Yeah. I mean, I think that this is his first healthy offseason too. It certainly helps a ton.
A lot of wind in his sails to have a good season, don't you think?
I mean, there's frankly no excuses. When you talk about the coaches they brought in, the fact that he's been healthy, and the fact that his best friend is the quarterback and, a guy who will throw him. We know there's one thing Hollywood doesn't have to worry about, and that's targets. He's not going to ever have to go to the sideline and go, "Coach, guy won't throw me the ball. I can't get targets. I'm open. I can't get looks from the guy under center." That's never going to be an issue here in Baltimore, which is why I think ultimately he re-signs and he's here for a long, long time, because that relationship is important. I mean, there's just no way around it. The fact that they have such a close, so there's no excuses for Hollywood. I mean, he's got to have a fantastic year. And what that fantastic year looks like specifically in Baltimore, might look different than it does elsewhere. But I think that when you evaluate him, you look at yards per catch, you look at yards, and you look at touchdowns. Maybe not total catches, but you look what he can do. And I think the strong end of the season goes into this season, and we see the best Hollywood we've seen to date. No reason to think, he's anything but the best version of himself, so far.
Yeah. I mean, I just to reiterate what you're saying, like, physically he's in the best shape, like he's got more experience under his belt. He's got a true off season. And then on top of that, one other thing that is important to mention, and you touched on this as well, he has the most amount of support around him. As far as he's got, I mean, Sammy Watkins, when healthy, can be your number one. End of story. Like, to say whatever you guys want about Sammy Watkins, and I realize he hasn't been crazy healthy, but when he's healthy, he certainly has all the ability in the world to be an NFL number one, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And has Marquise, just him alone, has Marquise had anything close to that in a supporting cast? No. Right. So that now that he has him and Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay and Miles Boykin and Tylenol Wallace, like you said, Glenn, no excuses, ladies and gentlemen, no excuses.
Absolutely not. I mean, even Miles Boykin could have the excuse of they don't throw me the ball. At least he's got some things he could say. Hollywood certainly can't. Raven Ron is going to be in Vegas week 1, taking over the strip, repping the purple and black. I wish I could be there with you, Raven Ron. We're going to be resting our voices. I'm going to be drinking some honey tea because the Boo Birds are going to be out week 2. When I see Big Crybaby, he's going to hear me individually from the stands.
Just right here.
Yeah, it's going to be like he's going to think that I'm in his helmet with him. That's how loud I'm going to be.
Do I have the green dot on? Like,
yeah,
exactly. What is going on here?
Exactly. So yeah, I'm I can't wait. But yeah, shout out to Raven Ron, going to be in Vegas watching and by the way, a beatdown is going to happen in Las Vegas week 1. A beatdown.
Yeah, I'm excited to predict that score. I am excited to do it. But I want to kind of flip the coin over on the other side because our guy Nick Solano brought up a point, and he said he's most excited, it's to see the center just smooth snaps going back to Lamar Jackson. So that brought back to me a lot of nerves last year. So what are you most nervous about going into camp? I mean, I think I already know the answer.
Well, I mean, we talked a lot about pass rush, and obviously, that's going to be the number one thing. And when you look at this offense, I mean, this team, there's only one really glaring weakness, and that's that spot. So I'm not going to just belabor that point again because I did go pretty thoroughly into it. So I guess generally what worries me most is the health of Ronnie Stanley. I mean, if Ronnie Stanley isn't able to get himself back on the field and get himself back to the level he's played at previously, I mean, I don't want to have to be in a scenario where we got to drag Big Alejandro and take him from right back over to left because we don't have a fit and we don't have a replacement for our all-pro left tackle, because then that weakens 2 positions. Now you're weakening your right tackle and your left tackle with just one injury. But that's probably what they would have to do. Can you imagine a scenario where Stanley's not out there and Alejandro is still at right tackle? I mean, I can't imagine unless Schofield. They got some
sort of faith. I mean, we can see what happens with like a Tyree Phillip, depending on what kind of jump he makes. But that would be throwing him to the wolves, certainly. But yeah, that would be a scary proposition if you can't tell by my facial expression.
Yeah, I mean
apparently, according to Twitter, Ronnie has gotten into making ice cream as a hobby and is talking about opening an ice cream shop. I hope that he's also
not eating too much of the product.
Right. Yeah. What is the saying? You can't don't use your own product or whatever. How's
usually I think that's applied to other areas of entrepreneurship. Well,
Ronnie, we'll give you the same advice here.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
Like limited usage, Ronnie.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get high on your own supplies.
There you go. Have you ever seen Paul Blart when he uses peanut butter because it covers the cracks of the heart and it heals wounds? Remember, Ronnie, that ice cream does not cover the cracks of the bone and it does not heal wounds. Okay,
that's right.
Take it easy, Ronnie. All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be my biggest concern is because that's the one domino. Like if we lose a guard, yeah, it would hurt to lose like a Kevin Zeitler. It would hurt. But Ben Powers has played effectively at that spot. Yeah. No reason to expect him not to be, better. I think he's going to be better this year with a full
we have a lot of
season.
Options at guard. Macari, but,
Right. Even at center. Phillip. I mean, Macari's, the last time we saw him, he made a lot of people upset seeing Lamar Jackson get his bell rung, running after a snap over his head. But at least we know that he's been effective at that position. If you look at what he's done, he's had spurts where he was really, really good. But left tackle, if Ronnie's not out there, it's a big problem. And of course, I think like who was it that said it earlier? I'm going to give him credit. Funny Looking Yo says that the injury, that's the big thing. We've had years past where when it seems like the injury bug bites, it bites one position and it just does so badly. So, I don't want to see a run of injuries at corner, at safety, at receive. That's what worries me. If there's some injuries, let's just hope it's spread out, different positions across the team, and the Ravens can take advantage of the fantastic depth they built with this roster, and not all their outside linebackers go down in a week of training camp.
Yeah, and let me also say this. I can't speak for you, Glenn, but Weezy Weez, I've seen every episode of The Wire. All right? I love The Wire. It is absolutely awesome. Bodie is my guy. He's the man. And, Bodie's my favorite. And it was unfortunate what happened to old Bodie, but it was a tough day. Michael B. Jordan? Wait, have you seen Michael B. Jordan in The Wire?
Michael B.
Skinny as can be.
Look at him now. Just
yeah, that was a sad scene, though. Almost brought me to tears for sure.
Bringing you to tears. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, look. Dave Nance, our guy, says, by the way, it's my B-Day 410 Nation. Love you guys in the channel. My B-Day wish is a Super Bowl win for the Ravens. Absolutely. Happy birthday, Dave Nance, the first guy to recognize us in public, stop us on the streets, and talk to us. It was a moment I will never forget. So happy birthday, Dave Nance. Appreciate
Dave,
you always
one day
support.
When we get big enough, we're going to have a Dave Nance commemoration or remembrance day in which
he's still with us, Jimbo.
Yeah, whatever. In honor of Dave Nance being the first to recognize us on the street.
Okay.
However you want to express that, but one day when we get big enough, we will do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
He'll ever go down in history. Like
I'll never
infamous,
forget his
right?
name. That's for sure. He's the first. No doubt about that. But yeah, shout out to Dave Nance. Happy birthday. But yeah, I mean, so camp is here. Hey now,
man, where's DK when you need him, bro?
Exactly. We needed us some DK on the sticks, but yeah, I mean, I think that everyone should be excited this time. Every NFL fan base should be excited, but certainly the Ravens. I mean, we got one of the teams that has a legit shot to take on to go after the Super Bowl. I mean, that's all you can ask for. We're not in a rebuild. It's not like the Orioles where. I mean, yeah, the Orioles are a little heater, won a few in a row, but they still
it's fleeting.
Exactly. They got a long, long way to go. So I'm just so excited to watch some meaningful sports here in Baltimore once again. The Ravens will be competing for it all, and I can't wait. We will be at camp, just so everyone knows, August 10th. Look for us. Hopefully Jimmy's going to be with us. If not, you will see my big lanky self out there with the family. Please come up, say hi if you're going to be in attendance. I'm so looking forward to it. And I'm not sure the mask policy, but you may have to look and see me through the mask. I'm not sure exactly what their policy is, but Asmodeus Thanato says,
of course.
What's up, y'all? How about them McChickens? That's right.
Look, Asmodeus, we got to know, have you tried the McBanger yet? We only had one person that tried it, and the reviews were it was good, but it hurt their stomach.
Yeah, exactly. It was good tasting, but not probably not the healthiest.
But I'll tell you what, Glenn, since I'm potentially eating the microphone cover live on air, we've got to put something down to where you're going to have to end up eating a McBanger on air, Glenn.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'd be willing to do that. It's been years since I've had McDonald's, full disclosure, but
so that's your first hurdle.
I'd be willing to break that for the show. Absolutely. We would just have to come up with a creative and good way to do that. But yeah, was it? Prescott says, yeah, no autographs this year. Bummed out to hear about that. I was really hoping my son would, get the high five Lamar. I mean, he loves some Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown. Those are his two guys. He wants to race both of them. He wants to.
Camden's dusting them backwards, bro.
No,
he's giving it to him.
No chance. I could even give him the brand new shoes make you faster speech, hype him up, make him think he's no chance. But he might be able to beat me at this point. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll find out this upcoming weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now I got to ask you something else, Glenn. Oh, what's this?
Asmodeus says, I've had the McBanger in high school, which was over 10 years ago. Yes, well, I think we might be a little north of that. It's been what's it been? 15 for me. Oh,
well, yeah, you graduated in 06?
Yeah,
I graduated in 08.
Oh, seems like forever ago.
I don't miss it. I tell you what, man, I love being an adult, baby.
Really? I loved me some school. I had a blast. But anyway, I'm
the other thing I want to
say?
I was going to say, the other thing I want to mention, just really quick, Manuel's COD channel. Yes, Glenn and I are. I'm downtown in Baltimore, and Glenn's just about 20 minutes northeast in Harford County. So yeah, look, if anybody asks that doesn't know Maryland, if you live outside Maryland, yeah, we're in Baltimore for sure. Like I said, I mean, I'm right here downtown, and this is Glenn's second residence. So yes. But the other thing I want to mention is I want to ask you about something that Calais Campbell said today, in that getting 100 to the 100 sack mark is one of his career goals. And he would need 8 this year to get it. His goal is to get it this year. There's a lot of rumblings that this could be his last. Do you think he gets it?
Oh man, I would love to see it happen. But I have my doubts, Jimbo. I mean, I at this point in his career, banged up year last year, didn't really have it from a sack total standpoint. Certainly not to what we've come to expect from a guy like Calais, who is, again, one of those other premier players of the league, certainly a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think, what's crazy to think about is the fact that Calais Campbell, as good as he's been, as fantastic as he's been, at just 92 sacks, is so far behind Terrell Suggs. Like, it's crazy the career that Terrell Suggs put on here in Baltimore. But no, I would love to see him get those 8. Do I think it's possible? He hasn't gotten more than 8 or more since 2018. He got 6.5 in 2019, just 4 last year. Man, he's extra game. So I think a lot of it comes down to health. I'll say this. If he plays all 16 or 17, I think he's got a real shot at it. But if I had to put my money on it, I would say no, he doesn't get to 100. He falls just short. Maybe gets to 6 and not the 8. But I'll be rooting for him like crazy.
Let me propose this. Let me propose this to you, Glenn. If I feel confident that Calais Campbell will get more sacks by the end of the year than Udafe Owe.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. If he does, you will eat a McBanger on live on a live episode. Deal?
I will. That is a deal. So if Calais has more sacks than Owe, I eat a McBanger. Oh, dude, I'll smash the whole thing too. I'll do it right.
Yeah. Oh, you have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's gonna get there. I think that. Look, I've said this before, but like, there's something about being in the last leg of whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Adrenaline is just powerful, dude. I told you, I did the 10-miler. I took off. I think I'm jogging at like conversational pace. My timer comes back in my ear, and it's like, first mile, 5:43. And I'm like, I'm flying. This is a problem, right? Mm-hmm. But like, there's something about that adrenaline that just pushes you when you're in that last leg, right? So I think he's gonna get through the season healthy. I think he's gonna dog it. And I think he's going to get to 8. And I think he's going to pass Udafe.
So just expend the rest that's in the tank.
That's it, because there's nothing after that. You know what I mean? What is that? All there is hanging out with the kids going fishing. Not that that's not fun, but I mean, physically demanding wise, this is it, man.
Is that a problem if he's our leading sack, or is that not that? Hey, who cares who's the leading guy? That's our guy. Like, would it worry you if Udafe? Or like, what would you rather it happen? Udafe show out because this is a guy who's going up and still staying, or because for me, I'm rooting for Udafe to be the leader in sacks, because that means that his career is going up, and we got a guy for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that point, but I don't think it's a problem if Calais leads the team in sacks, but it's really about what it looks like. If he's got 8 and Udafe's got 1. And we don't have a ton of sacks, that's a problem. If he's got 8, Udafe's got 6, Metabike's got 5 to 7. You know what I mean? If we're getting home, we're getting home. So I wouldn't be super concerned about it. But yeah, I understand your point about like moving forward. You want Udafe to take off. But I think that the most important thing with Udafe's season is you got to, it used to be easier to do with 16 games, but break it into quarters. Look at his Q1 progression, Q2 progression compared to Q1, and then, keep going. I think that Q4, that last quarter, if you will, add in that 17th game, will be where you want to see the progress, right? Like, I think right now, really, he's on a ramp up period, and he's got to close hard, if you will. If you can't tell what I do for a living.
You hope he doesn't hit the rookie. You hope he doesn't hit that rookie wall, especially in a season that's so much longer than the previous with the COVID shortened season in college. But just remember, he's only had 8 or more sacks 5 times in his career. Now, I'm not saying that's not bad. That's bad because that's, by any standard, that's pretty darn good to have 5 seasons of 8 or more.
Yeah.
But he hasn't, like I said, done that since 2018. So, I guess that weight, is to be determined there. Wait and see on that one. But yeah, I mean, so let me ask you this: Nick Boyle, he got to clean up. He's still not in there.
I was going to bring that up.
That's got me, because this tight end room is one of the most intriguing rooms because of the fact that they drafted Ben Mason. Because is he a tight end? However you label him, unless there's an IR stash like we've seen in years past, he's going to make the team because he was a draft pick this year. They just don't cut guys they draft the same year. And they really don't usually do it until their rookie year or their rookie contract expires. So when you hear Nick Boyle's got to clean up, and at least his time being on the practice field, it doesn't look like it's going to be any time that soon. Does that make you think that there's a more likelihood that we'll see like a Josh Oliver or a Tomlinson or Breeland?
Glenn, you just have to come over to my side, bro. That's all it is. That's all it is, Glenn. I mean, look, I think that this news of the cleanup solidifies Ben Mason and the 53. And I think with that being said, I think they want more from a pass catching standpoint than just Mark Andrews and some guys that block. I really think Josh Oliver has a chance, and I think if he can stay healthy, he plays himself into a spot here.
Wow, but what if he doesn't stay healthy? Do they just give the guy? Well, I'm saying, do they just give the job to the guy who stays healthy, whether it's Wolf, Breeland, or Oliver?
No. I think that if he doesn't stay healthy, I think he goes right to Tomlinson.
Okay.
I think it has to, because he's proven, like he's a proven commodity. I think that Josh Oliver is the dark horse. He's your big hit, right? Like your what's the term? Like it's a high risk, not a low risk, high reward, but like he's the guy that's got some ability to move the needle one way or another. Where I think Tomlinson is just an insurance policy. Not that we don't need guys like that, but I think that anything happens to Oliver, boom, he's in, and that's just what it is. Even though he's not much of a presence in the passing game, we know who he is. We know what he can do. We know what to expect out of him. Yeah,
no doubt. I think that's a good point. I think, that's well said. Tomlinson is the insurance policy for Boyle. But also Mason could be some of that, the hard-nosed style in which he plays, the fact that he just moves guys bigger than him. That's his whole motto of coming out. When he came out of college, is it you put a bigger guy in front of him, he just uses his leverage and he moves the bigger guy and can overpower even guys that are bigger than him. So I think both of those are insurance policies, but you're right. Oliver is the guy. He's the guy with the highest ceiling as far as being a pass catching threat. And I'm hopeful that he proves me wrong. Because if you haven't checked it out, we did a 53-man roster prediction. And, again, we did this separately. We didn't, we wrote them all out before we decided to record it. And our only discrepancy is he has Josh Oliver making the team. And I go with Ellis instead. That's our biggest, our only discrepancy. So, maybe you'll be right, and if that's the case, then that means Oliver stayed healthy and he showed out in preseason and in camp. So I'd be happy to be wrong about that one. But, unless he shows out in preseason, I think he'd be an awful easy slide to the practice squad because he's shown the league absolutely nothing thus far. So unless he dominates in that joint practice or preseason, I think he'd be a guy we could slide through. But you always put a risk when you expose a guy to waivers.
Yeah, and the last thing this really doesn't have anything to do with it, but it came to my mind regarding Gus too. first and foremost, get better, Gus. I don't want to assume that you're going to get better. You know, you never know what can happen with this thing. So we hope first and foremost that he gets better. Of course, we naturally assume based on the fact that these guys are statistically some of the most lowest risk guys based on their health and things like that. But certainly we want you to get better. Mm-hmm. But it is a very intriguing room. Like, the tight end room is going to be interesting to the very end. Mm-hmm. I'm excited when we show up there at camp. I mean, I know you're going to have an eagle eye on that group, and certainly I will as well. But man, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what's going on with old tight ends, man. Absolutely. I mean, I want to see a show out, but I know more. I know one thing: Mandrews, he's going to have a year this year, Jimbo. I mean, this guy has gotten me excited all offseason, seeing the type of work that he's been putting in, making sure he's with Lamar, making sure that not only are they building the chemistry on the field, but as I've said many times, just as important to build it off the field as well. And I think that's why Hollywood and Andrews both get the bulk of the targets. Not only are they the most talented to this point, but also I think they're the closest to Lamar, and that certainly helps. So, man, I think Miles Boykin, it would have been nice to see him out there at least once in any of the photos. Not sure why he never seems to be invited to the party, or whatever the reason is. Maybe that impacts why he doesn't get the looks. But either way, it's going to be an exciting camp. But let me ask you one last thing. Tavon Young is still right now on track to be on the field. If he's healthy, Jimbo, and the rest of that group is healthy, how much can that back end help a pass rush that right now doesn't have a bunch of names? Is it possible? So if Tavon stays healthy and Marlon as well, and Peters and Smith, I mean, can't they just make the pass rush so much better just by doing what they do? Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We talked about this before in that, like, it's just that one extra hitch that a quarterback's going to have to take because Peters is in the receiver's pocket, or he's concerned about where Peters is because he knows that he could be playing games with him. Marlon sticking to a guy like glue, and then Tavon doing the same. And then of course Jimmy out there. So yeah, it can definitely improve it. And that might be a part of the reason why the Ravens are like, look, analytically, it makes more sense for us, or statistically and analytically, it makes more sense for us to invest in the back end than it does the front end. So maybe that's just what they decided to do. If they had to choose, of course you want both, but if they had to choose, is the way that they've decided to address it. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it can benefit some of these guys, and that might be the reason why Udafe might get to double digits, right? Yeah. I mean, it's like somebody said earlier, they said, well, the reason that what's his name? Judon was our leading sack guy was the position he was put in by Wink, and basically saying that, that it wasn't necessarily that he was our best sack producer. It's just because he played the position that got the most opportunity to do so. So maybe that's, their point as well, that Judon got the sacks because somebody had to, kind of like, a guy on a basketball team. Someone's going to lead their team in scoring because somebody has to put the ball in. So maybe it wasn't that Judon and Ngakoue were, now Ngakoue, we have a track record of on other teams where he showed he could do it, but maybe Judon wasn't necessarily a great pass rusher. He just benefited from being in a system that gets him a lot of advantageous, matchups because we blitz from anywhere and everywhere. And maybe Owe will have that same or similar success because he'll be now in that position that Judon was in. Well, let's hope. Yeah, I guess that's all we can do. I appreciate you putting as best of a spin on it as you can. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. But also, yes, we haven't heard any updates on Ben Cleveland yet, unless I missed it. So hopefully he gets out there. He's ready to go. Tomorrow's a big day. No news is good news, right? I don't know about that one, about this situation, but I don't know. But all I know is tomorrow they're supposed to hit the field, right? I mean, that's what I hear. So I think tomorrow we'll know certainly better than we have today. So excited to see it. But yes, if you guys didn't hear, we will be at training camp August 10th. It's Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know you're going to be there. DM us. We'll meet up. Say what's up. Talk some Ravens talk. Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but yeah, DM us on Twitter And we'll meet up with you guys.
Yeah, share the free ice cream that they provide, which is a blessing. All those passes, though, Jimbo, 24 hours gone.
Shoot. Hey, if we got enough people that come up to us, we might as well get a brunch afterwards or some lunch or something. Let's just all go get some lunch.
We might have to do it. Absolutely.
I mean, McBangers for all. I'm just saying.
We're going to take over the local Mickey D's. I'll be in the tubes in the play area. My big lanky self. Stuck. Yeah, just stuck in one of the tubes.
One of the balls, like the clear balls on the side, you just see your head, and then the other one your shin or your knee or something.
Help me! But yeah, no, I'm so looking forward to it. The Ravens put on a great, atmosphere for their fans and do a lot to make it special. And I'm sure this year, I mean, judging by what they did for the media, they had a whole thing prepared for them because it's been like 500 days since their last live press conference with actual reporters in the same room as the players.
Well, we weren't there, so I mean.
That's true. We got to get that press pass, man. I need to take them to task with some tough, hard-hitting questions here, Jimbo.
That's right.
But yeah, we won't hold our breath on that. But we will apply and hope for the best. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be an exciting camp, a bunch of fun stuff for us all. But yeah, that's it for us tonight. We can't wait to be back. We'll be doing some more shows on Thursday. And yeah, we're actually. Tomorrow, look, there's going to be a lot more shows, I think, because of the fact that camp has started. So if there's breaking news, we'll be out there with you.
You already know it.
We're not going to miss any of this stuff and keep you guys up to date on all that Ravens news. But quick shout out, Dave Nance, happy birthday again. Appreciate you coming out. Asmodeus Thanatos, thanks for the McBanger money. Appreciate you. Raven Ron, have fun in Vegas and let them have it. Scream your head off. Manuel's COD channel, I'm assuming he's a gamer. I might have to get on that in a little bit later tonight. Don C, always showing the love. Appreciate you coming out. Tanja Bowman, appreciate you as well. Nana, always love to see you out here. Wheezy Wheeze, appreciate you coming out. Jimmy Kidwell, you as well. If I missed you, I apologize. Thank you to all the silent observers as well. We appreciate you coming out with us, and we will talk to y'all soon.
See you.